quenching this. I've never had to climb 5 rungs of a ladder. Everything needs to go right because there's not enough time to do it all over again. Hope for the best.
This is the biggest challenge yet. Contestants John and Michael are up against each other in the final round to determine who walks away as the Forged in Fire champion. But just what monumental task awaits them, let's hear from the judges.
Gentlemen, 4 days, you will have to build this. The Groot Pierre sword.
Oh boy, this is going to be a tough one. The contestants have been tasked with making the Groot Pierre sword, aka one of the largest and deadliest swords to ever exist. With just 4 days to complete this, the pressure is on.
I'm pretty confident, but worrying my pants mate. I'm used to building big stuff. Some of my sculptures weigh up to 6,500 pounds.
John is giving it his all, pouring his energy into the fight, while Michael, his opponent, appears totally relaxed. Is Michael just that confident, or is he underestimating John? Could this laid-back attitude be his downfall? Only time will tell.
Bladesmiths, welcome to the kill test. John, you are up first.
You know I'm ready.
All right.
It's finally time for testing. We're starting with the kill, or as Doug likes to call it, the keel test. Doug will test both competitors' swords against pig carcasses to see which one comes out on top. First up is John's sword. Let's see how it performs. Man, I'd hate to be on the receiving end of that sword. The way it just annihilated everything in its path is absolutely insane. It left nothing standing. But it's Doug who makes the final call. So let's hear what he has to say.
Hefty counterbalance. It's wieldable. It cut deeply. The guard also is not so massive that it gets in the way. And overall, it will kill.
Doug's nod of approval shows he's impressed with John's craftsmanship. The attention to detail is hard to ignore. Now, it's time to see if Michael can match that level of skill. Will he meet Doug's high expectations, or is he in for a tough critique? The pressure is definitely on. Michael's sword is impressive, but it falls a bit short compared to John's. Despite the close competition, Doug's judgment is the final word. Now, all eyes are on him to see which sword will be declared the best.
It is a nice heavyweight, but controllable, and more importantly, it will kill.
Next up, it's time for the strength test, where swords are truly put to the grindstone. Dave will test both blades by striking through 3 layers of 20-gauge sheet metal. It's going to be a tough challenge to crack, but these are some of the best bladesmiths in the world. But who is better?
The blade itself, there are some slight rolls, but it's still plenty sharp. The blade's lean enough that it's very flexible. That tip kind of drops maybe 3 inches of flex. You start to swing that blade, you don't know where that tip's gonna go. It's flopping around.
Now, that was brutal. John's sword held up pretty well during the strength test. You could say it smashed the competition. While Dave had a few critiques, John came through it without major issues. For now, he's in the clear, but the competition is far from over.
It's a little bit more of a firm blade. It doesn't quite wiggle as much. As far as damage, just the very edge has rolled.
Did you see that? This was pure destruction. Michael's sword gets the upper hand in the strength test. Right now, it looks like his blade is the sharper of the two. The competition is heating up, and John has some catching up to do.
This is the sharpest test, the watermelon and water jug slice.
It's time for the most anticipated test, the sharpness test. Both blades will be used to slice through water jugs and watermelons, measuring their precision and cutting power. The sword that performs the best will be declared the winner. Let's see which blade comes out on top when it's all about that clean, cut. That didn't go according to plan. Looks like the wiggle issue Dave pointed out earlier cost John this test. His blade veered off course after hitting the first watermelon. But it's not over yet. Let's see what Doug thinks about this turn of events. Maybe there's still a chance for redemption.
The edge, it cut the first watermelon cleanly. Wobble, there's so much wobble in this. On the water jugs, clean cut. Overall, your Groot Pierre, it'll cut.
Doug acknowledges the wiggle problem, but he still gives John's blade a pass. Now, it's Michael's turn. Let's see if his sword can stay on track and avoid any surprises during the sharpness test. The pressure is on.
First stop on a watermelon slice, much easier. Not much flex on the blade, it's easy, and it cut all the way through. On the water jug slice, it did cut. Your sword, you will cut.
Thank you.
Surprisingly, Michael's sword had the opposite issue to John's. It sliced straight through the watermelons, but wobbled off course when it came to the bottles. The judges now have a tough decision ahead of them, choosing which blade is the better one. The competition is neck and neck.
But as you know, only one of you can take home the title of Forged in Fire champion. Today's Forged in Fire champion is Michael. Congratulations.
Despite a few missteps in the last round, Michael's sword wins the judges over. His edge proved sharper and his performance more consistent, sealing the deal for him. John put up a good fight, but Michael's precision gave him the edge in the end.
I make weird stuff, and this is really weird. That doesn't lop off the head. I don't know what will. This blade is a really difficult one to shave. A blade like this to balance, I've got to do a lot of hammer work, and I've got to be really careful not to cancel out everything I do on each hammer strip.
Up next, it's Paul and Steven competing against each other to become the Forged in Fire champion. And if we learned anything from that last one, it won't be easy. But what insane challenge do the judges have in store this time?
Both one step closer to the title of Forged in Fire champion and a check for 10 grand. Go home and recreate that weapon is the Nambi Nulu.
Whoa! This might be the hardest blade contestants have been asked to make in the history of the show. They've been tasked with making Gombengulu, aka the most terrifying sword in history. Let's see who can handle the heat.
You've had 5 days at your home forges to work on your finale weapons.
To test the sharpness of your blades, I'll be cutting into our cane man here. Paul, you ready?
Yes.
It's time to put these blades to the test. We're starting with Dave's sharpness challenge, where he'll be cutting into cane men with both swords. Paul is up first, and he's radiating confidence. But we all know that confidence alone doesn't guarantee success. Let's see how his blade performs under the pressure of this test.
This feels like a weapon. It cuts like a weapon. Went right through that cane. You nailed it.
Thank you.
Have you ever seen a blade cut that clean? Seems Paul had every reason to be confident because his blade aced the sharpness test. He sliced through the cane men like butter. Now, the big question is, can his opponent pull off something just as impressive? Let's find out.
All right, Steven, you ready for this?
Yes, sir.
It's a different weight, it's a different balance, but the cuts, you can see it just passed right through. There wasn't any resistance on that cane.
Now, that was truly impressive. Steven's blade passes the test with ease as well. The competition is closer than ever. But this was only the beginning. A lot could go wrong in the next round, which will be...
Gentlemen, to test the strength and durability of your blades, I'm going to chop into these clay pots. Paul, you're up first.
It's time to test the strength of these blades. Dave will smash them against clay pots to see how they hold up. Paul's blade goes first. Let's see if it can withstand the impact without breaking or chipping. This is where we find out just how strong these swords really are.
Balance is really nice on this. Heavy where it needs to be heavy. When you're swinging it, you know where it's going. Right? There's a slight roll on the edge of your blade right here that...
I'm certain that wasn't exactly how Paul wanted this round to go. After the test was over, you could clearly tell that his blade rolled. Thankfully, it was just a little bit in the middle. Despite the rolling, Paul's blade passes again. But what about Steven?
All right, Steven, it's your turn. Out of alignment. Your blade's a little bit heavier than Paul's, but it's got a good feel. It's got a good balance.
Now, that's what I call a cutting-edge performance. Steven's blade also earns a resounding yes. With that, we're gearing up for the grand finale. Let's see which sword truly stands the test of time in our final challenge.
Bladesmiths, this is the kill test. I will take your non-medulla. I'll deliver lethal slashes on this bullet 6 dummy. It's got a razor's edge shear that, upon its initial delivery into the gut, that dug in deep, all the way into the bowel. Your weapon will kill.
Thank you.
Paul's weapon takes the stage first, and it's an absolute bloodbath. His blade slices through the competition mercilessly. Without a doubt, that weapon is a killer. Now, it's Steven's turn. Let's see if his blade can match or even surpass the ferocious performance of Paul's.
All right, Steven, it's your turn. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Your blade is sharp, lacerated all the way into the bowel. The wood that you have here, it's smooth and it will kill.
Thanks.
Steven also secures Doug's nod of approval, making the competition tighter than ever. At this point, it's anyone's guess who will emerge as the champion. The suspense is palpable as we await the final verdict.
The Forged in Fire champion is Steven. Congratulations.
In the end, Steven's blade proved to be heavier, more comfortable, and obviously sharper than his opponent's. It was the complete package, outperforming the competition in every category that mattered. No wonder he took home the title of Forged in Fire champion.
Put all this work into something and it all hinges on this one moment. So bad.
In this next segment, 2 Bladesmith finalists will pour their skills and sweat into recreating the razor-sharp niche sword. Despite their best efforts, only one will claim the title of Forged in Fire champion. And the sword they have to make is...
You guys have earned your spot in the final round of this competition. Recreate this iconic weapon from history. Nimcha. We'll see you in 4 days.
Ryan and Steve have put in the work, and now they have to prove their Nimchas can cut it, literally. 4 days might sound like plenty of time, but every moment counts when you're forging a piece of history. Let's find out if their efforts will be rewarded in the sharpness test.
Welcome to the kill test. It's time to find out what kind of lethal damage your Nimchas will do.
Doug is really pulling out all the stops in this one. He will take each contestant's sword and see if it can slice through a pork carcass. Ryan's up first, and he's pretty confident about his blade. But is confidence enough? Or will his sword fall short when it meets the meat? Was that really pork, or was it butter? Because Ryan's Nimcha sliced through it with such ease. His confidence was clearly well placed. The Nimcha left everyone in awe with its smooth, effortless cutting. Now, let's turn to Doug and hear his take on this impressive blade performance.
Everything about the weight that you have on this allows for a very deep cut, very forward heavy. But overall, it will kill.
Doug gives Ryan the green light, but he has some concerns about the weight distribution of his sword. Turns out, it's a bit forward heavy, which makes it hard to cut with. Now let's see if Steve's Nimcha can handle the challenge and match, or even exceed Ryan's performance.
The handle construction, smooth. It's not blocky, so I like that you have an ovoid over there. Your blade had a little bit kick off to the side. Thinner profile like that cuts deep. It is a much lighter sword than your competitors. Overall, sir, it will kill.
With the way that went, it looks like Steve has blown the competition out of the water. But it's far from over. With more rounds to go, there's still plenty of room for surprises and the chance to claim the title. Let's see what the next challenge brings for both contestants.
Bladesmiths, welcome to the strength test. It tests the strength and durability of your edge, as well as the overall construction of your Nimchas. Ryan, you're up first. You ready for this? Tear it up.
The judges really are going all out this time, aren't they? But hey, what else would you expect with a blade like this? Ryan is up first in the strength test. We already know his sword has a weight issue. Could that cost him in this round?
The edge that you have on here took a slight roll. Like, I can't see it so much as I can feel it. The rest of it is really wicked sharp. It's still all in one piece. Nice job.
Thank you.
Definitely not perfect. Despite chopping through the targets cleanly, Ryan's blade fell a bit short by taking a slight roll during the test. It was a minor setback, but it could cost him if the judges are strict about durability. Let's see how this impacts his chances of winning.
Steve, you're up next. You ready for this?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool.
This was ugly. Steve was hopeful after seeing Ryan's back-to-back blunders. But let this be a lesson in overconfidence because his own blade snapped in half after just a few strikes, ending his chances of winning.
Ryan, congratulations. You are the Forged and Fire champion. Go ahead, you can smile. For $10,000, brother. Good job.
There's always stuff that goes wrong.
It's time to crown another champion. This time, our competitors are 20-year-old Morgan and 21-year-old Travis. The two will go head-to-head in this final round to see who walks out with the $10,000 cash prize. But the judges have something very special in store for them.
Both moving on to the final round. Now we're sending you home to forge an iconic blade. The Viking sword.
Wait, what? How on earth are Morgan and Travis supposed to forge an entire Viking sword in just 5 days? This challenge is a tough nut to crack. But hey, they've made it this far, so if anyone can pull this off, it's these two. But there has to be one who rises above the rest.
To test how lethal your weapon is, I will reach you the simulated sword and then deliver a thrust, slice, and chop on this ballistics dummy. Travis, you're up. You ready?
Yep.
Well, Travis, recovery's a little bit difficult. The sharpness of your edge definitely will cleave through anything in its path. If you had a little bit more weight in the back over here, counterbalance the blade. But nonetheless, will kill.
Well, if I'm being honest, that blade just destroyed that dummy. For a weapon that size, Travis's blade sure did a whole lot of damage. Doug gives it the thumbs up. Next, it's time to test Morgan's sword.
Morgan, there are a couple of issues that we have here with your sword. Number one, with the handle, it's loose. My biggest concern is on your blade itself. Not only do I see cracks, I actually see holes in your sword. Morgan, due to the issues you have with your blade, for safety reasons, we will not be able to test your sword.
Yikes. Right off the bat, Morgan's sword faces a serious setback. It doesn't even qualify for testing. Doug quickly notices several glaring flaws in the craftsmanship. Concerned about the safety and integrity of the test, he makes the tough decision not to proceed. And you know what that means.
Travis, congratulations. You are the Forged and Fire champion.
It's been fun, man.
Yeah.
Morgan, I'm sorry. You did not make the cut.